Hey, Xiomy here. So today I wanted to do my March and April wrap up. Now, I really didn't read that many books in the month of March just because it was a very hectic month and I only heard one audiobook, so that's why I decided to join these 2 months together. But the first book that I heard in the month of March was Daughter of Smoke and Bone by Laini Taylor, and I really enjoyed this story. I gave it 4.5 out of 5 stars. I loved the world building. The writing was incredible. The fact that you have these monsters fighting with Ceres was something that I thought that was very intriguing, and the way these monsters are introduced is something that I thought that was very different and unique, and I enjoyed everything about it. I love the characters. Karu, I loved her so much. Akiva is, oh, I fell in love with Akiva. He's just a broken seraph, and I enjoyed everything about him, and the fact of what he was willing to do and what he did was just like, oh, it was so heart-wrenching and yet so enjoyable. And I don't know, I mean, I can praise this series for as much as I want, but the first book I really enjoyed, and I loved it so much. And I love the fact that you get a lot more in-depth into their life. You get a lot of backstory because it is very character driven in the first book. It's something that I loved reading about. But as the series did progress, I'm having issues with the series because the first book that I picked up in the month of April was the second audiobook of Daughter of Smoke and Bone, and it's called Days of Blood and Starlight. And I fluctuated in this book because Karu really annoyed the crap out of me, especially a lot of things that were happening. I'm not going to mention them because of spoilers, and I don't want to spoil this book for you just in case you haven't read it, or this series for you. But Karu was my main problem in this series. I mean, the things that she was doing it's like, oh, it was just so annoying and so stupid. And I really enjoyed when one character was reintroduced again and was basically telling her, what you're doing is right, the feelings that you have are right, you can't continue to blame yourself for everything. She can blame herself for only one thing. That's all I'm gonna say, because basically that was her fault. Loves her, she was basically hating him for the things that she's helping the bad guy with, and I'm like, are you kidding me? So that's why it did fluctuate between like and dislike, and I gave it 3 out of 5 stars. And I'm currently here in the third book. Just saying, I know we're in May, but I just wanted to say this. I'm currently here in the third book, and it's stressing me out, people, because after 27 chapters, it also fluctuated between like and dislike. And like in the 30th chapter on, I'm enjoying it. I have to finish it, but you'll know in May. The first physical book that I picked up in the month of April was Wires and Nerves by Marissa Mayer. I love this. I enjoyed it. Love going back into the Lunar Chronicles world. I gave this 5 out of 5 stars. It was very lovely and enjoyable, and the fact that you get Eco again and you get all the characters because every single one of them is in this book. And I really did like in the first 2 pages or somewhat, you basically get an overview of everything that happened in the series. That's why I really don't want to mention too much, because if you haven't read the Lunar Chronicles, you should. This basically happens before Stars Above, so you already know what's going to happen in the end. But it was just quite enjoyable, and I really loved this book. The only thing that I can say, it's one thing that I'm nitpicking, is that you have it in this blue undertone, and I really didn't like it because Scarlet has red hair. And you see, you have this blue undertone to it, and I really didn't like it that much because in the things that it was supposed to emphasize on, obviously they are in a different color. But overall, it was, I mean, the graphics were amazing. I'm not gonna criticize on that. I just have that little thing that I'm going to nitpick, but I loved continuing to read about these characters, and I fell into this world again, and I loved everything about it. And the next book that I picked up in the month of April was Caraval by Stephanie Garber. I think I'm one in the minorities because I really did enjoy this book. I gave it 4 out of 5 stars. I really did enjoy the fact that you have these 2 sisters, and on the eve of them basically going to this island, one of them gets kidnapped. So Scarlet has to find her sister. I have to admit that there are some things that did annoy me about Scarlet, but they're very minimal. And the fact that, you know, woman, you have to live a little. I mean, I know you're hell-bent on finding your sister, but also live a little. You know, one of the things that really did annoy me was her, you know, in some situations that she would basically like thrust into and not think about. And also, you know, the fact, like I just mentioned, that she's hell-bent on saving her sister. Doesn't enjoy the game quite often, and Caraval is basically that. You have to enjoy that game, and I love, you know, the warnings that they gave you that this is just a game, not to take it lightly. And I really did enjoy those notions. I hated her father like so much. You have no idea how much I hated him, but I loved it. The ending is filled with so many plot twists and turns, and I cannot wait for the second book because there's a cliffhanger. Basically, you know, in the sense that not like real full on cliffhanger, but like there's something that I want to know. More questions are asked at the end, and these are questions that I want to know answers to. So that's why it's very intriguing for me to read the second book in the installment. But overall, I highly suggest for people to read this book. It's very entertaining and it's quite enjoyable. At least in my opinion, it was a very good book. You know, not overly like, wow, this is an amazing book, but it was very, very enjoyable. The next book that I picked up was for the Tome Topple readathon, but I have to admit that I failed that horribly. It's like there weren't enough days in the week, and there's 2 weeks for this readathon, but I couldn't. It was too much, honestly. It was too much, and I couldn't finish the book, but nonetheless, I did finish it, and the book that I'm talking about is The Wall of Ascension by Brandon Sanderson. I gave this 4 out of 5 stars because, again, Vin annoyed the crap out of me, like, so much, and I'm telling you, like, the first 600 or some odd pages, she annoyed the crap out of me, and she redeemed herself in the end. And when I say in the end, it's the last 100 or some odd pages that she basically does redeem herself. And this book was just so hurtful because there are characters that I really did love and enjoy in the first book, and in this book they're taken away from me. But again, if you haven't read the Mistborn books, you totally should, because the world building, the allomancy, the misting, being a Mistborn, these things are just so different and again refreshing to read about, especially the world building and everything that's happening. And there's so many details and clues that basically are telling you that the hero one day stood up and he failed, and that's basically what you have in the first book. It's the first line that you're going to get in the synopsis, and in this one you get so much more information on that one thing that was released or unleashed into the world, and it's entertaining because I can't wait to read the third book. Heart-wrenching, especially if you fall in love with these characters, because again, these are morally great characters. They live up to something more than that, and even though they are cursing the person that put them in this situation, they aren't turning their backs away on what basically they are right now. And I think that that's something that's very beautiful to read about, and just goes to show you how a person can change. So again, I love it, even though Vin did annoy the crap out of me. And the final book that I picked up in the month of April is The Novice by Taran Matharu. I really did enjoy this. I gave it 5 out of 5 stars. I have to admit that the demonology behind it is intriguing. The world building is quite enjoyable, and the main character is simply lovely. I loved him so much. He's so cute. He's like a younger brother to me, honestly. And I loved his salamander demon, which was, I always pronounce his name wrong, but is Ignatius. I adored him so much. Like, again, I'm going to admit that the writing isn't that perfect, but again, this book satiated my love for something just to sit down, relax, enjoy, have fun while you're reading it. And this book provided that for me. It was something that I was looking for after having read all the books that I did read. And the only thing that I'm going to say is, why didn't I pick this sooner? I enjoyed everything about it. And the cover is so true to a lot of things that are happening in the book, especially his description. Of course, here in the cover, he does look a lot older, but again, I didn't care. I loved everything about this, and the fact his struggles and everybody else's struggles, and the fact that the people that he befriends is something that I found quite intriguing and also a bit refreshing. Are there heavily influences on other things? Yes, there are, but again, these are things that I deviated from because I honestly didn't care. I just enjoyed Fletcher so much, and the people that he befriended was something that was so beautiful and lovely to read about. And I have to admit, there was a scene that I was like, no, it was like you're getting those Harry Potter kind of vibes, and then I was like, no, I mean, come on. And then obviously it deviates from that, so I was like, oh yes, that was very brilliant of him to actually do. But overall, this was a very enjoyable and intriguing book to read about, and I really cannot wait to continue this series. Well, those are all the books that I read for the month of March and April. Again, I had some nitpicks with certain books, but overall, I really did enjoy a lot of these books. The one that I really did enjoy above all others was The Novice, and I can't wait to continue in that series. But that's it for my video. I want to thank you for watching. All my links will be down below. I post every Wednesday and Saturday. Those are going to be my uploading schedules. But I want to, again, thank you for watching, and until next time.